Welcome to the Buck Stops here, the official podcast of notinhalloffame.com, and I'm your host, The Buck, Kirk Buchner, owner, operator of notinhalloffame.com, and the sister sites, the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame and the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Today, the captain of your Starship fame, see what I did there? Named after Star Trek, I can do that. We're going to look at Season 1, Episode 9 of our show, of the Hall of Fame show, and we're going to look at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, specifically our revamp of those who should be looked at for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning's now available for the 2021 class. Sounds like a lock to me, but there's quite a few others worth looking at. We're also looking at the WWE Hall of Fame. John Bradshaw Layfield, former champion. It's a little bit of an interesting candidacy in terms of not necessarily what he did in the ring, but what he did out of it. I've got one opinion, some people have a different one. We'll see what you think. We're also looking at the Golf Hall of Fame and the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame. A franchise Hall of Fame that's done an incredible job over the last few years. They've only been in operation since 2014, and what they've done to sort of like celebrate that franchise has been incredible. And my hat's off to them. Without further ado, here's Evan Nolan. Evan's our co-host on this, and enjoy the Starship fame. Mr. Nolan, how are things in Chicago?
Surprisingly warm. It's. I hate saying this. It's been like one of the most mild winters I could possibly imagine. If this is what global warming is doing, then bring that on.
Yeah, it's a funny thing is, like where I used to live in Jasper, Alberta, Canada, it's actually one of the coldest winters they ever had.
Well, that's what they get for being in Canada.
Well, yes. I mean, we've come a long way in the last 20, 30 years in terms of our sporting prowess, our contributions to the world of entertainment.
Yeah, Nickelback and Justin Bieber and
Rush counters it all.
Lavigne. Rush predates those people.
I know, but so. it's still good enough where it sort of gives you a pass on everything. Having said that, yes, when you bring up Nickelback and Avril Lavigne, so will not Chad Kroeger? Is that his name? Him and Avril sort of like come up with like the worst musical child of all time.
That's a possibility. Do they have kids? They're still together, right? I've lost track of that.
I honestly don't know. I'm actually proud of the fact that I don't know that answer.
Hold on, let's see if the Googles know the answer. But anyway, so how's your week been? Anything on your mind? You know what? Over the last hour, there is, and this is completely it's completely unrelated to everything. And I don't care if I'm handing in my man card. I watch sports every night, and I just load up on TV shows that I'm going to catch up during the day. So I haven't watched anything on Grey's Anatomy. So I'm a Twitter guy, as you know. And then I see, like, why the hell is Izzy trending? And Izzy is trending because Shonda Rhimes? Yeah, Shonda Rhimes has lost her... Thank you. She's lost her flippin' mind. So they write off Karev, a character that was crap for the first couple years, played by an actor whose name escapes me, who will never do anything else. But he says he's going to leave the show, and I guess he can do whatever the hell he wants. He's set for life in terms of royalties. Right. So even Gary Berghoff left MASH for bigger and better things. So you never know. Continue. Yeah, that spin-off of Walter really did really well. That lasted all of one episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway, continue. I got interrupted your rant. Yeah, well, I see that's trending, and he leaves after all the build-up to sort of like give this guy character, to give this guy grit, to give him somebody that you can actually get behind instead of sort of like the pretty boy asshole. He leaves his wife, who he took care of, who was abused and everything, blah, blah. And I don't know the whole thing because I haven't watched any episodes this year. I mean, not now, because I'm just letting them pile up for the summer. And he leaves it for Katherine Heigl and Izzy. Because I see like that, like, what the hell?
And I'm pissed off. I go tell that to my wife, who's doing pretty much the same thing, so we'll watch it all together. She gives me sort of like a look that I wish I would have videotaped because it would have been a perfect meme for one of those like GIFs or GIFs, however you want to call it. I don't know if it's a GIF or a GIF. Just like it was basically, and it was the.
It doesn't matter it doesn't matter which one you choose. You're wrong. So continue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Either way, it was the perfect what the fuck look. That I don't get it. I'm pissed off. I'm drinking now, but I would have drunk anyway. But
yeah, you have been drinking anyway. That has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, that's very true. So I just had to get that out because it's on my mind. I think I came up with like 5 things that would have been better for him to sort of like leave his wife for: Iggy Pop, Iggy Azalea, Cat Stevens, because it's Iggy Stevens, a coffee table, and another coffee table. Any one of those 5 would have been better than what they came up with.
Isn't Izzy also the name of the lizard from Magic School Bus? Am I remembering that correctly? That's the only other one I can think of.
I've never seen that show. But that would have been a better one, too.
Well.
Anything would have been better. Him saying, like, you know what, I'm really a hermaphrodite. And I'm looking for another perfect hermaphrodite, but it's got to be from the island of Sumatra. That would have been better. Anything is better than this. Eventually, this whole project of my podcasts or our podcast is going to sort of like bleed into the television world. So why the hell not for an opening about Halls of Fame?
There you go. I'm going to say I've never watched a single minute of Grey's Anatomy. I'm actually kind of surprised it is still on television. So the fact that you could be this upset, are we 20 years in at this point? Means at least the show has some staying power. But
the funny thing is, too, Evan, it's not even a show I'm that into. I mean, I guess I am to a point where I'll binge watch a season now that you can binge watch. But, having said that, it's just something that, how do you fall off the rails this badly? It reminds me of the whole Dallas thing, and when Bobby gets killed, and then he says... And then he says, "Oh crap! I think I want to come back to the show." Patrick Duffy. I made a huge mistake, and they write him back, and it was a dream. It's right up there with this sort of shit.
Well, maybe Shonda Rhimes is out of ideas. I don't know.
Well, yeah, she could very well be out of ideas. She's gonna be sort of like reading all of those horrible Twitter mentions that she is getting right now in her palatial mansion. So, whatever.
I mean, at this point, if you're still watching the show, she's essentially running a cult, right? Like, it doesn't matter. She's killed. As far as I know, again, I've never really watched a show. Like, not ever really. I've never watched a show. But it seems like they killed off a character that everybody. Like, I'm going to boycott this show because they killed off whoever, and then everyone just goes back to watching it. So,
well, yeah, they have killed, like, any actor who says they were going to leave the show, they always sort of left via death. And it's, and let's be honest, it's pretty much a soap opera. So, like, that's fine. I mean, and I guess they sort of were painted in a corner when the actor said he was going to leave. I mean, hell, they could have said he's going to, I don't know, Peace Corps in Africa, something. Anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I went all in on Dexter, even though the last season was so bad. And I just kept watching. It's like, okay, they can't possibly end it terribly. And they did. This is not Hall of Fame material, Mr. Nolan. It's not Hall of Fame material, and I'm upset.
For the record, I note you're being upset about it, and I will agree. Is there a television? There's got to be a television Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there's even an Emmy Hall of Fame. Oh, actually, before we go into sort of our docket, we talk or the day. Do we call it a docket or sort of the list of everything? It doesn't matter. I just want to sort of like do an addendum of what we talked about last week with the EPL Hall of Fame. Because I was reading some of because I was reading some of the articles that came out of England, and
a lot of them were very negative about the idea of it. So there was a couple that came out, because that happened like right before we went on the air last week, but a lot more came out, and most of them were very negative, and it was sort of like trashing the idea of sort of being too Americanized. Because in the United States, and I'm a Canadian, but still I love Hall of Fames too, we love this sort of stuff. We love the celebration of those who meant a lot to our youth, and to just sort of like celebrate them as they're sort of done their existing careers. So it hasn't really gotten a lot of positivity in England. I'm sure that might change in the future, but then it kind of ties in with what I sort of thought about when a lot of English fans who don't sort of have roots in the United States say, we really don't get it. It kind of sort of ties into that a little bit. So like when Radiohead said, I don't know why it's such a big deal, but then when Ringo Starr really wanted to be in there, it's like, okay, well, where does he live? I think he's got residencies in both.
Right, yeah, I think he spends a lot of time in LA, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But it's a little strange to me that Halls of Fame would seem to be exactly what England does. England is nothing but a collection of museums of how wonderful they used to be. I mean, nobody cares more about something that doesn't matter than the British care about the monarchy.
That's very true.
Every kid memorizes the monarchy all the way through, and who cares how many Henrys there were at this point? It doesn't really have very much bearing, but they have museum after castle after whatever. So I don't understand why they don't care about Halls of Fame. That's kind of silly to me. I mean, the British Museum is nothing but a collection of the places they've conquered and the stuff they brought back. So
the sun never sets on the British Empire until it did.
Until it did, right.
And now Prince Harry is in my old stomping grounds of Ontario, and every time he's spending money, he's looking at his grandma, because the Queen's on all of our currency.
I don't think he has a problem with his grandma. I don't think his grandma's a problem. But if there were pictures of the paparazzi constantly following around, or there are pictures of Meghan's family, I think it'd be a bigger issue. But
yeah, Meghan's dad doesn't seem to be the most level-headed individual, let's just say.
Nobody in that family seems to be the most level-headed individual I've ever seen. So.
And that's the Hall of Fame.
We should probably get to Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's the Hall of Fame show.
Hall of Fame talk. Grey's Anatomy, and the British monarchy. Yeah, probably not what people came for. So
no, probably not. So all right, docket number 1, a big revision. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Not in Hall of Fame list has been revised. Shout out again to 2 people. Ted Hildebrandt in Winnipeg, who got this done very quickly, and Vinny Lospinuso, whose input, as always, has been very valuable on this. I will say that he probably knows more about some of the Pro Football Hall of Famers and those who should be in than those people who are actually on the committee. I will say that. A wunderkind of sorts.
Well, yeah, he is pretty impressive in his knowledge of football stuff, so what do you want to do about this? I mean, clearly the number 1 and number 2 are the new ones are first ballots, right?
Right. Peyton Manning, number 1. I don't think there's even a point discussing it. This has been a lock ever since probably while he was still a Colt.
Yeah, it's been a lock since before he injured his neck. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, there's really nothing more to go in there. I've got Charles Woodson at number 2, and I think he's going to follow suit as a first ballot inductee. A few guys that I want to sort of like bounce off of you. Actually, 2 people specifically, and then 3 based on, or a couple more based on your Patriots knowledge. So I've got Jared Allen at number 19. I don't see him getting in right away, but he's going to get in.
Yeah, Jared Allen's going to get in. He'll be at least a semifinalist. I mean, there are 4 names coming up. We've already gone through Woodson and Manning. Who's the third guy is debatable, depending on how you feel about. I'm presuming the next person probably talk about is Megatron, right?
Exactly. Yeah, at number 27.
Yeah. So those 2 guys' cases are going to be similar, I guess. Although Megatron's is, of course, limited by the fact that he he basically had a career that he cut short. And that makes a difference. I mean, we saw this year, I thought Patrick Willis was definitely going to be a finalist, and he didn't make it the final finalist list. Who also was a guy who was cut short. But yeah, Jared Allen, and I think both Jared Allen and Megatron will get in someday. I think Jared Allen has a little less competition based off of who's on the list now. I certainly think if it comes down to between Jared Allen and Bryant Young, you're having a serious discussion as to who becomes a finalist out of those two.
Right.
But I don't think that Allen gets in before Seymour, at least, for example. So.
And you know, yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. With Megatron, I think it's a lot more interesting. I've read article upon article that he's a lock, and a lot of people think he's a first ballot lock. I think they're way off on that one for two reasons. One that you've already discussed, he had a brief career, but the second one is he didn't sort of like push the needle, and that's not his fault. I mean, the lines were awful, but when you compare him to a Terrell Davis. The Broncos don't win that Super Bowl without Terrell Davis. They just don't. Johnson doesn't have that on his resume. And I applaud Calvin Johnson for retiring on his terms, doing what he wanted to do. That's fantastic. And he should be in the Hall of Fame. And I think overall he was a better football player than Jared Allen. But he doesn't have a better Hall of Fame resume.
That's a fair statement. And he also is going to have a whole lot more competition. I mean, you had both Wayne and Holt as finalists this year. I think Megatron's better than Hines Ward, but Hines Ward is hanging out there as someone else who's going to be looked at. So, I mean, I think although both Holt and Wayne were among the first 5 cuts this year, but that may have just been we're deciding Bruce is going in, and we'll worry about the other guys later. So yeah, I think that's an issue. I think Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt both have championships. They both have longer careers. They both have higher numbers. Honestly, here's a question for you. When you think of Megatron's career, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
The first thing that comes to mind is I'm so sorry that you got stuck in Detroit. That's the first thing that comes to mind. No.
I mean, I'm talking about what is the indelible play in your mind with Megatron?
I don't have one.
I do. You want to know what it is?
Sure.
It's the time he put the football down too early in the end zone, and they determined it wasn't a catch. Isn't that the most memorable play?
Yeah. That one, sort of like that, and it was almost like perfect. That's going to happen to a Detroit Lion, because if anyone was sort of like going to, if all those sort of like determining what a catch was going to happen to any team, not necessarily any player, but any team, it was going to be Detroit.
Right. Well, or the Bengals, but
or the Bengals.
Yeah. But in terms of, I mean, I know that Megatron had ridiculous plays. It was ridiculously skilled athlete and all those other things. But the first play that comes to mind, because we talked about this back when Morton Anderson got in, back before he had a podcast, and or maybe we did talk about it. Like, what was the indelible play of Morton Anderson's career, even though he's the all-time kicking leader? The answer was he missed the kick.
Right.
For the. Like, his most indelible moment is a missed kick. Like, it's the same thing for me with Megatron. Although Megatron is a significantly better player than a kicker, I'm not comparing them in that way.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think he's going to get in first ballot.
I don't think he's even a lock to be a finalist first ballot. I really don't.
Well, let's hold on. Let me just open this up for a second here. Let's just take a look at the people who. So we cleared 5 folks off the ballot from last year, right?
Right.
So the people who were semifinalists and didn't make it through were Rondé Barber, Leroy Butler, Clay Matthews, Carl Mecklenburg, Sam Mills. Hold on. Did I do that right? No, I'm reading the wrong place. Sorry. Reading the wrong year. Carl Banks, Rondé Barber, Clay Matthews, Simeon Rice, Steve Tasker, Fred Taylor, Hines Ward, Ricky Waters, Patrick Willis, Darren Woodson, right?
Right.
So we got 5 people up, and Clay Matthews fell off, right?
Right. As did Tasker.
Oh, Tasker fell off too?
Yeah, Tasker. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was Tasker's last year as a potential on the finalist list.
Okay, so let's just say that leaves us 7 new spots as a for semifinalists, right?
Oh yeah, I think
so. We automatically.
Yeah, I'll put him automatic semi.
We have 4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'll put Calvin as an automatic semifinalist.
Oh no, he's definitely going to be a semifinalist. My point though is, so we got 4 right there.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're up against, just within that group, you're going to have, like I said, he's going to be one of 4 wide receivers.
Yes.
Like it's going to be harder than people are thinking. I think that is going to be. So is Calvin Johnson going to get in the Hall of Fame? Yes, eventually he will get in the Hall of Fame. But the wide receiver list is it's always going to be challenging. And there's just always more people coming. I mean, Steve Smith is going to get consideration not next year, but the year after.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be on there, and people are going to be talking about that. Eventually, someday, Larry Fitzgerald's going to retire, and
one day
he'll be first ballot, and that's going to. Yeah, I don't know when that is. He already signed up for next year. But like, there's just so many. There's just always somebody else coming down the line that you kind of have to get lucky. And what it is, and I honestly think that either Wayne or Holt is going in next year ahead of Johnson.
Yeah, which one would you put over Wayne or Holt?
I think who would I put and who do I think they're going to elect are 2 different people.
Okay, well I'll ask you both.
All right, so I'm going to put Holt in there myself, but the symmetry of Wayne and Manning going in together, I think, is going to carry the day.
Okay, yeah, because actually I have Wayne slightly over Holt. Mm-hmm. But again, it's so marginal.
Here's a trivia question for you: Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. Oh wait, no, was it Wayne? I was wrong. Never mind. I was going to ask you what team they both finished their careers with, but Wayne didn't actually. Now that I think about it.
For a former Jeopardy contestant, that was a horrible trivia question.
It was. I'm sorry. Do you know what team Torrey Holt finished his career with?
I want to say San Francisco.
The New England Patriots.
I want to say that I'm wrong.
He made it into camp and thought it was too hard and ended up going home and retiring. So. But anyway.
Well, I'm wrong again. So there's a few new entries I want to bounce off you. One, I don't know that there's that much to sort of discuss here. Kevin Williams coming in at 109. But there's 2, because you're a Patriots guy, and I really want your take on this. Logan Mankins, 126. Wes Welker, 161. Welker, I'm really interested in what you think, because you've watched a lot more Welker than I have.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me start with Mankins.
Sure.
I remember when Mankins was drafted. I can't remember exactly who was on ESPN, but someone basically said that the Patriots had lost their damn mind, and that this was the worst pick they had ever made, and that he ended up making 7 Pro Bowls and being a stalwart on a whole bunch of really good Patriots teams. Although Mankins was the unlucky guy who showed up the year after they won the 3rd Super Bowl and retired the year before they won the 4th. So he ended up playing for the Patriots his entire career and not actually winning a Super Bowl. But Mankins was a nasty, incredibly great run blocker, really good pass protector, and absolutely deserves consideration, in my opinion, for the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's going to get in. There's just so many. I mean, we've seen the glut of offensive linemen. If Alan Faneca is having trouble getting in, it's hard for me to imagine Mankins getting in. Although Faneca, I think, will finally be in this year. At least I'd like to hope.
God, it feels like I've been saying that for years. I'm not even a Steelers guy, and it pisses me off.
I am definitely not a Steelers guy.
No, I guess you're not.
I'm a Patriots fan, and he played for the Steelers and the Jets. And I'm like, why isn't this guy in the Hall of Fame? So, Mankins is one of the toughest guys who ever played for the Patriots, and one of the most important parts of the dynasty, even though he never actually won a championship. So it'd be great to see him there. Would it surprise me if he's a semifinalist at some point? No. Do I think he'll get there this year necessarily? No, I don't. I think they'll find, like I said, there's 3 more spots open. They'll probably find other folks somewhere to put in those spots and give some consideration to. As for Welker, Welker was so the first time we knew about Wes Welker, he was playing for the Dolphins, and he had a game in which he, I believe, ran a punt back for a touchdown, threw a touchdown, and caught a touchdown against us, and nobody had any idea who the hell he was. So naturally, Belichick traded like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick to Miami for him the next year, and he came and just dominated with us. Welker was an incredibly tough receiver across the middle, particularly out of the slot. He was the prototypical. The Patriots kind of have a prototypical slot receiver guy. You always think like, who's the guy who got drafted by the Raiders out of Clemson? Who caught the touchdown for the national championship? Like Hunter Renfrow.
Oh, okay,
yeah. You saw Hunter Renfrow. We just automatically presumed he was going to be the Patriots because he just looked like the slot receiver the Patriots have over and over and over again. But Welker was the first of those guys, and he was incredible. He was a heck of a player. I haven't actually. Let me go look this up. Where he is on the all-time catches list. I mean, if he didn't have his bell rung so many times towards the end of his career, things would have been. He would have had I think, a little bit of a better shot. How do you feel about him?
I like him a lot. As for whether he's going to be a Hall of Famer or not, my initial thought process is no. He's going to be a Patriots Hall of Famer, as he should be, and quickly, I hope.
I think it's funny. I think it may take him a while.
Really?
Okay. So the Patriots Hall of Fame. So I think we're getting to another team's Hall of Fame, which has only been established for like 5 years. Who are going to come up to that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But the Patriots Hall of Fame has let people vote on the finalists now for got to be 10 or 11 years. Essentially, the way it works, for those who don't know, sometime around the middle of April, they have a panel that gets together, and they will select 3 players or coaches because they keep putting Bill Parcells up there, and there's no way in hell Patriots fans ever can vote Bill Parcells or the Patriots Hall of Fame. It was his 32-32 record, and dropping the Patriots for the Jets basically before the Super Bowl. But you can then vote for who gets in. So the people who are waiting who have been waiting the last couple years are Richard Seymour, who's a finalist of the Pro Football Hall of Fame the last couple years, and Mike Vrabel, who beat us in the playoffs, so he may be off the list this year. But Seymour, there's a lot of people who are kind of feel like if we can vote him in, then he'll get in the Hall of Fame. So I expect Seymour is going to be elected this year. But then you have Mankins, you have Welker, you have a whole bunch of other guys who from the teams who are going to be coming up here soon. Randy Moss isn't in. He's somebody who I'm sure people are going to look at. So there's a whole bunch of them. It would surprise me a little bit if Welker is in quickly. Does he deserve to be in? Of course, but I think it might take him a little while.
Which just sort of like showcases how incredible the Patriots have been when you have a guy like Wes Welker, 6-time Pro Bowler, that's going to have to wait to get into a franchise Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So Patriot haters,
and it's also,
sorry, but that's how it is.
It's also easier to get in the Patriots Hall of Fame for fans to vote for you if you retired as a Patriot. Like last year, Vrabel and Seymour lost out to Rodney Harrison. Mm-hmm. Harrison played the first half of his career in San Diego, famously couldn't hit the ball out of David Tyree's stickum. But he won that first Super Bowl with a broken arm. It's one of the most famous, or that's that third Super Bowl, I'm sorry, with the broken arm. He's coming off the field with his arm in a cast. One of the most beloved guys on the Patriots, was only there half of his career, but retired with the Patriots, as opposed to Seymour, who, accolades-wise, definitely had a better career than Seymour. Seymour, I think, only made 1 Pro Bowl his entire career, which is crazy. Because Brandon Merriweather made 2 at the Patriots, and he sucked. But he got in over those other 2 guys, because he retired with the Patriots. The other two retired. Well, Vrabel was traded to Kansas City, and Seymour was traded to Oakland. So they didn't retire as Patriots. So I think that makes a difference. And Welker didn't retire as a Patriot either. So we'll see exactly what happens with that.
Yeah, so I got a couple more. Actually, really one I want to talk about. So I just want to mention Steven Jackson, 225, Roddy White, 291, but Michael Vick debuts at 221. He won't get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but my God, I don't know if you feel the same way that I do, but like the first few years watching him as an Atlanta Falcon was mind-blowing. And as a Saints guy, I watched a lot of Vick. The Saints fan in me hated him. The football fan in me loved him.
Yeah. Vic, I remember going to the ESPN Sports Zone in Washington, D.C. with one of my buddies and watching a Patriots-Falcons game with Vic. And Vic was – the Patriots won, but Vic was absolutely terrifying that whole game. It was – I mean, just the highlights of – going back to the highlights of Calvin Johnson, the highlights of Vic just running through guys and everything was absolutely incredible. It's almost impossible for him to get into Hall of Fame. I can't imagine. I can't imagine anybody would want the backlash. And honestly, where his numbers ended up, mainly because he lost a lot of years there in the middle.
Right.
It's not going to get him there. But he was a ridiculous talent while he was out there.
And the thing that sort of pisses me off there, I mean, he still gets backlash and things. For when he moves forward or whatever it is that he's sort of like doing, but like, okay, he went into jail for a couple years. What more do you want?
Well, I think it's more than that, though. He went into jail and then has seemingly honestly completely changed his opinion on it.
Sure.
And has become an advocate for animal cruelty now, and I don't think that's fake. He's been doing it long enough. He could have done it if it were fake, he could have done it for a little bit and then let it go. He's still doing it. So it seems like he
doesn't
had some
have
sort
to.
of soul searching when it came to this.
Yeah.
He didn't have to. But just think of all the Me Too guys who have got caught up in this and who have just not apologized. Right? Like, Kevin Spacey isn't sorry for what happened. He's sorry what happened to him. He's not sorry for what happened.
Kevin Spacey
going on there. None of those guys are, right? Vic seems genuinely remorseful and genuinely seems to have done something positive. Now, is it going to dog him for the rest of his life? Oh, God, I didn't mean to use that word. Is it going to follow him? That was entirely unintentional. Is it going to follow him for the rest of his life? Of course it is. Of course it is. And should it? Probably, because what was being done to those animals was despicable. I mean, and you can't do that. And dogs are an animal you can't do something bad to in this country. So, yeah, I don't think he'll ever get in. But in terms of talent, there are very few who have ever been above Mike Vick.
Now, in Barbados, the country I live in now, it wouldn't have made any difference.
Right. Did you watch the 30 for 30 on it?
No, I didn't even know there was one on that.
Yeah, I saw part of it. I don't know how recent it is because I was flipping through channels and saw part of it, I don't know, a month ago. And they had the interviews at the time with people around there like, who couldn't believe from the South that he was getting in trouble for something that they just kind of thought was part of the culture there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it was interesting seeing, like, I'm a white suburban kid in his 20s, who this is like from the Northeast, who this is like abhorrent to, but it wasn't necessarily, it was not something I'd ever come in contact with. Might it be different if I grew up in a different area, a different culture, whatever? Maybe. Yeah. So again, I'm not condoning what he did. And I don't think he would condone what he did at this point, but.
Well, not knowing what he knows now, or just because we all evolve as people.
But and going back, and I don't want to sound like a bitter Patriots fan when I say this, but going back, like, let's just go back to Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning teabagged his female his female trainer in college. Like, she was trying to fix his knee, and he took his junk out and dunked it in her face while she was working on him.
A lot of people don't even know that, too.
Right, but there's a sign. They have a gag order and everything. It was paid out, but he did it, and nobody cares. Like, it's amazing what follows some people and what doesn't. Peyton Manning had HGH shipped to his house.
Yes!
But it was in the name when he had the neck injury. But it was in the name of his wife, so clearly he didn't use it.
No, well, obviously he didn't need it. I mean, like, you saw Peyton's wife. She needed it.
Right. Well, and you've seen how Peyton Manning's head went from normal to gargantuan and back to normal now. I don't know if you've noticed that. But, like, when Rodney Harrison got busted for HGH, he made a mistake of having it addressed to himself. If he just addressed it to his wife, he never would have been suspended for those 4 days.
Well, had Michael Vick done all this stuff under Ron Mexico, it would have been fine.
Ooh, I forgot about Ron Mexico.
Oh, I love Ron Mexico. My favorite thing with when all that shit sort of, like, came out was how NFL.com, when they were doing, because when people were buying a bunch of jerseys as Mexico under the Falcons, and they couldn't figure out why. And then it took them a while to sort of like to suspend that.
Yeah. I remember when the NFL was banning certain words on the back of jerseys, and one of them was gay, and then the Patriots had Randall Gay, and they couldn't ban it anymore because they actually had a player with the last name. I remember that was one of my favorite ones, too.
I've always said that Rudy Gay had, of the NBA, lost thousands of dollars because of his last name, because no one was buying his jersey.
Maybe true.
Yeah, which that's on you, America. We're a different world now.
True. Just by the way, going back to Welker quickly, Welker's 50th in receiving yards. He's right behind Eric Moulds.
Oh my God! Okay,
so,
that's an interesting name.
Yeah, so, I mean, the people right in front of him are Eric Moulds, Shannon Sharp, but Shannon, of course, plays tight end, so it's a whole different level.
Right.
Donald Driver, Andre Rison are the 5 guys in front of him, and Lance Allworth, who played a different era. So all the and going up from there, no one up from there is a Hall of Famer. Next one's Santana Moss, Harold Jackson, Deshaun Jackson, Keyshawn Johnson, Stanley Morgan, Gary Clark, Roddy White, Joey Galloway, Chad Johnson, Antonio Brown, Keenan McCardell. You have to go all the way up to Don Maynard at 30 before you hit another Hall of Famer.
Oh, my God.
So he's like Rod Smith, Machine Muhammad, Calvin Johnson. Johnson's 31st. So, yeah, I think it's as much as I like Welker, and I thought he was a great player, I think it's going to be an uphill climb for him, too. Sorry, just going back to that. I had
no, it's all good. Yeah, I just wanted to, one more thought on Vic. And again, just sort of like moving from Canada to Barbados, I get people who look at me with my dog wondering, like, why do I let my dog in my house? Thoughts change. People change. And that's sort of my point with that.
Yeah. True.
So, I mean,
is there anyone else on your list? I'm sorry.
No, not that I really want to go through. Because there's a few other ones that I think are a few other. We have 3 other topics that I want to sort of like touch briefly. Do you golf, by the way?
I intentionally do not golf.
Okay, yeah, I'm not a golfer either. So the Golf Hall of Fame has announced their finalists, and I'm putting on the conspiracy theory hat. It's full of tinfoil. And this year, they changed the minimum age from 50 to 45. Who's eligible? Tiger Woods.
Why would you think there was a conspiracy with that?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah. So
you don't think Dottie Pepper's enough to carry the Hall of Fame class?
I suppose that I don't. I'll put it this way: about around 9 years ago, when I started the infancy of the site, I was talking to somebody who was like a major, like good enough to sort of like be in sort of like the, I guess, second tier of Canadian golf. I don't know how that works. Not a golfer, never will be. And so I told him what I was working on, and he said, "Oh, I'll work on the Golf Hall of Fame thing for you." Like, great. And then he came back to me a week later. He said, like, there's no point. Like, why? Because they're letting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, so the age used to be 40, and then it became 50, and then they moved it back down to 45. So I remember back when Vijay Singh was elected, he was just like, they're like, oh, if he wins one more tournament, he automatically gets into the Golf Hall of Fame. And I was like, how is that a thing? How does that work? But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much point debating that Tiger Woods is probably getting elected. Would you say that?
No, I mean, there's no point debating that at all. It's mostly a debate on the complete incompetency of the Golf Hall in itself. That they flip-flop from what they're trying to be, and which is a shame. I mean, golf has really taken off in terms of like when I was a kid. It was more of a sort of like a social, like a high social sport. And yeah, maybe I don't play it, but I mean, it's certainly way more popular now than it was 40 years ago.
But, that's probably true, but I mean, it's hard for me to say, like with the Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus era, how popular was that really around, how popular was golf really back then? Because I feel like major golf events were shown on TV back when there were very few sporting events shown on TV. So
yeah.
there was a lull certainly before Woods showed up. But do you think? I mean, golf is popular because Woods is playing. If he's not playing, the numbers go way down. So I'm not exactly sure if it's actually golf that's as popular or is Woods that's as popular.
I think Woods is that popular, which is fascinating considering he's the most boring interview since any hockey player. He should be playing hockey.
Perhaps. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we know it works the other way because we've both seen Happy Gilmore. And we know it works that way. So I can't imagine it would be that hard to go.
Why don't you go in your home? Get in your home. The few times I have played golf, it was full on Happy Gilmore. Didn't work for me.
Yeah, I rarely play golf. Actually, I think the last time I played golf was at my buddy's wedding beforehand. We had a round of golf, and I played all 18 holes. I just feel like golf is one of those things, the better you get at it, the more angry you get when you're playing it. I just don't need that in my life. But my buddy gave me like his whatever 200, 300, I don't even know how much they cost, dollar driver for the last one. It's like, here, just Happy Gilmore and see where you go. And I hit it, and I believe it was a real short hole. It was like 180 something yards. And I hit the thing, and it cleared. And I'd been like hitting ground balls all day, but I hit it. I cleared the green. It cleared the netting behind the green. It cleared the road. It cleared the first set of trees and landed somewhere in the lake behind it. And I just sat there laughing. They're like, "Oh, you hit it too hard. Hit it again." I'm like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm never going to hit anything that as well in my entire life as I just hit that thing."
Retired on top.
I can imagine if you, retire it and I'm done. It's like when I went to Vegas. I won my last roll of roulette. I put $1 down on red 23 because my buddy was a huge Michael Jordan fan and told me to do it. It hit red 23. I walked away with $37, and I'm like, I've won money in Vegas. I'm done. I'm retiring. So I just walked off that. But the Golf Hall of Fame is, I mean, it needs people to go there. The visitors to the Golf Hall of Fame were estimated at 167,000 in 2017, which is an average of 457 a day.
Oh my God, that's it? That's horrible.
Yeah, I just went and looked it up. Because back in 2009, it averaged 350,000 people.
I don't even leave my house and I see that many people.
Yeah, and you live in a place that only is a half hour to drive across.
That's so true. For now, yeah. So yeah,
right. But I mean, yeah. So 2017 was 167,000. In 2015, it was 189,000. So it went down, 22,000 people in 2 years. So it doesn't surprise me that they're trying to do something.
And sell tickets to a ceremony.
Right, but it also is weird because they only induct people every other year now. Like, why not just do something every year and just put one person in at a time, as opposed to they're probably going to elect Woods and maybe Patty Harrington, and Dottie Pepper, I'm imagining, would get in the list of the female the list of the female nominees. Like, why not just keep it where it is, get Patty Harrington in, and then wait for, get Woods next year, or Woods this year and Patty Harrington next year, as opposed to spreading it out to every other year. If you have a ceremony every year, more people are going to go, you would think.
I think they still haven't found themselves, or they just don't know what to do.
To be fair, they've only been around since 1974, so you don't want to rush these things.
No, of course not. That's what my dad always said when I was born in 72. Just don't rush it.
Well, Canada always rushes it because that's your path.
Of course, my dad also said, hey, I'm going to name him after, what's that other son? Okay, who's much older than me? Oh, you like Star Trek? Yeah, I'm named after fucking Star Trek. That's actually true.
Yeah, I know. And I'm named after a woman, so there you go. But I am. My dad had a terrible home life and spent most of his free time across the street at his aunt and uncle's house. And his aunt was Aunt Evelyn, who basically raised him. And so when I was born, he wanted to name me Evelyn. And my mother put the kibosh on that, and Evan ended up being the compromise name. So there you go.
Yeah, this could have been the Spock show.
I'm actually named after a woman. Or I would have, if I went by Evelyn, I could have just been evil, and that'd been fantastic. Or I probably would just would have gone by my middle name, but my middle name's like a German last name, so that wouldn't work either.
Yeah, aren't you in finance? How are you going to get someone to sort of help you, invest with you if you're evil?
I mean, come on, evil investments? Who doesn't want to go there?
Actually, I just answered it myself, so yeah, that would probably help you. All right, so
all I would have to do is move to your island and have evil investments. Come on.
To my island, yeah. While I'm still here. 2 more topics, and you prepped WWE. John Bradshaw Layfield in the Hall of Fame, confirmed. Interesting character. What have you learned about him?
Yeah. I learned that he threw John Cena through the windshield of a car.
Yes, he did.
That was exciting.
Yes, he did. Very violent match, if I remember right.
I'm sorry?
Very violent match.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, I went and watched, as soon as he got in, I went and watched highlights of his career. He's former WWE champion. Mm-hmm. Had a very good career. He's still involved. He's only 53, so he's still, in wrestler years, that makes him 74. But still involved with the WWE as a part-time guy.
In terms of announcing, his in-ring career is long over, but yes.
Okay. But, he was, 29th on your list?
Yes.
So, he seems like somebody who was a better choice than the Bella Twins.
Much better than the Bella Twins. With JBL, I've got... I don't have any conflict, but some people do. In terms of his in-ring career, it's actually pretty interesting. He came into the WWE in 1995, and it wasn't until 2004 where he really went from mid-card and tag team guy to main event. And it came out of nowhere. He changed characters to this sort of like J.R. Ewing type, which wasn't that far from what he was, because he was actually somebody who invested heavily in the stock market. He even had a book that came out about his investments. So he appeared on, was it Fox News or CNN? I don't remember which. But, he actually did, investment shows on one of the news channels. So, he's an interesting character in that way. Then that character took off, and the reason why it sort of plays more personally with me, not because I ever met him, I never did, but he defeated Eddie Guerrero for the world title, and I ghost wrote a book that may or may not come out, I hope it does, but from Chavo Guerrero Sr. So Chavo Sr. told me all these great things about JBL, and just from that alone makes me sort of want to overlook some of the other things about him. So with JBL, it's not just about his wrestling. Wrestling, what he did, sort of like be world champion and sort of like go from mid-card for life to world champion and a character that connected. That in itself is Hall of Fame, but there's a lot of people that say he shouldn't be because he was also, behind the scenes, quite a big bully. And
yeah, when I saw the comments underneath, like his highlight thing once he got in, seemed to fall into two categories. One was jokes about whoever the fan was being bullied by JBL.
Yep.
And two was saying that Christian should have been in first. Those were basically the two categories that everything broke down into.
Okay.
So
Christian should be in the Hall at one point, and hopefully he is. And so all the criticisms about his bullying, they're 100% true. Having said that, people are onions. There's a lot of great things about his actual character that people don't talk about. Have you ever heard of Tribute to the Troops that WWE does?
Yes, I have heard about that.
That was his baby.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that, he lives, and I guess just sort of like being a Caribbean guy now, after he retired, he moved to Bermuda. And one of the things that he does there, he's got big into rugby, and so he uses his individual wealth to help locals there in terms of sport, sort of like, get off their feet for that with rugby.
Mm-hmm.
He also has done, I don't know if he's done the whole thing. I got to look that up. But he also did one of those 7 climbs, climbing each mountain in the tallest mountain.
No, the 7 summits?
Yes, 7 summits, thank you. And so he was doing that for charity.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great things about his character. So in terms of his philanthropy, he's incredible. In terms of his bullying, he's shit. And they're both true.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So so you feel pretty okay with him getting in, though? You feel he deserves to be there?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So he should be there, and got a bit of a bias because of a mutual friend of ours, but yes. Yeah, he definitely should be there.
Okay. How many more people are they going to be putting in? Do we have any idea?
Not a clue.
Okay.
Not a goddamn clue, and there never will be.
How many do they generally put in? Is there a number like that?
No, there's no general. It could be as little as 5. Now they even put a legacy wing in, which is their way of putting in a bunch of old school wrestlers who may never have even competed in the WWE.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so it could be as low as 5. It could be as many as 20.
Oh, okay. So far, were the Bella Twins on your list?
No, they weren't, because I had them in the futures, thinking that they could come.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they could compete again. I don't even have that much of a problem with them getting in. I have a problem more with the process.
Right. Well, the process is ridiculous.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't necessarily have to put a female in every year, because women's wrestling in the WWE has skyrocketed into what it is. But back then, it's only like a few years ago. It wasn't very good.
Right.
So I have more of an issue with that. The way that hall is, yeah, they're perfectly fine for it.
Okay. So far we have who? We have Batista.
Yeah, Batista, JBL, the NWO,
NWO,
the Bella Twins.
And Bella Twins.
Yeah, and Davey Boy Smith has not been confirmed by the WWE, but it looks like that's going to happen.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So guys like, I'm looking at your top 10 here. So guys like Cade and Big Show, who are still wrestling, how hard is it for them to get in? Do you have to have a little bit of space before you can get in?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I have one set sort of rule for that. Once you hit age 46, you automatically move, whether you're active or not, you automatically move from the futures to the available.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's my rule. That's just right or wrong. You never know, because like Kane was more active in his late 40s, and now he could very well be active again if he chooses to. So either one of those two can get in at any point. Could be a Hall of Fame, or I shouldn't say a Hall of Famer. Could be a headliner, which is the more accurate word. And both will. Okay. Both should. It's just a matter of when, not if. It's all when.
Got it. Okay. I was just wondering exactly how everything works, because I mean, looking at your list here, I mean, clearly Vince, your number one is Vince McMahon. And
yep, always will be.
I think Vince would have to step down, and as soon as he steps down, he's automatically going to be the Hall of Famer. But he's not, even as egomaniacal as he is, he's not going to be the guy to put himself in the Hall. Like, that just looks bad.
You know, it's kind of funny you say that, because Triple H, his son-in-law, has been asked in other interviews, like, why isn't he in? And his answer was because Vince wouldn't let it happen. As egotistical as Vince McMahon is, he does not put himself in, and he should. He absolutely should.
He should, but what I'm telling you though is the moment he steps down, he'll allow the WWE to put him in. But as long as he's chairing the committee, he's not Jan Wenner. Yeah, like Jan Wenner got in while he was still chairing the committee. Like, Vince McMahon is not going to let that happen. Oh my God,
are we just saying that the WWE Hall of Fame has more ethics than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and then the Baseball Hall of Fame and all these other Hall of Fames? Are we saying that in some way?
I think we are.
Yeah, because Triple H should be in the Hall of Fame right now too. He won't put himself in.
Right.
Well, actually, sorry, that's not true. He is in terms of with Degeneration X.
Okay, but I think that's a little different too.
Yeah.
Where do you have Triple H on your list?
No, he's not in. He's not on the list because he got in with Degeneration X.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah,
I got it.
So that way he could sort of like sidestep that whole thing, because him as a solo should definitely be in also.
Right, and that was the thing with Christian, because I think Christian's in with the Edge or something.
No, he's not in at all.
He isn't?
No.
I misread the comments then. But yeah, okay. So, yes, the WWE has more, Hall of Fame has more integrity than Jan Wenner's led Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'll say yes.
Oh my God, I didn't know their beer to sort of digest that. Holy shit.
Yeah. And maybe after what we just said, maybe the Golf Hall of Fame as well.
Nice. Well, I got one more thing that I want to bounce off you here. The St. Louis Cardinals, they've got their Hall of Fame class coming up here. I love what they've done. Here's a team that's been around for, oh my God, for forever, yeah. Number two.
They predate the World Series.
Yes, so. And number two in terms of World Series, number two in overall World Series championships. And they only came up with their own franchise Hall of Fame in, I want to say
2014.
2014, thank you. And so they've announced their finalists for their Hall of Fame. Have you voted on that?
I have not. I wanted to go through it with you. I mean, there are two people I'm clearly voting for. But do you want to go through the criteria of how you get into the Cardinals Hall of Fame?
Yeah, the way.
You know what?
Yeah, there's basically three. They have their veterans, and then they also have those that you can vote on.
Right. So in order to be eligible, you had to play for the Cardinals for at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be retired for at least 3 years. For the veteran players, are people who've been retired for at least 40 years. And there's 6 to 10 players who are nominated every year, and the top 2 get in. Is the way they're doing it now. So, and the list this year is pretty good. I think there's an obvious top 2 to me, but the list itself is actually pretty impressive. So,
yeah, and I'll tell you, I only voted for one.
You only voted for one?
I only voted for one. You can vote for 2, and I only voted for one of them. So we'll go through the 7 Cardinals.
It's a great time because it's time for the fans now to look at the list and.
Sorry, just opened up another window, and then a bunch of other stuff came. So Steve Carlton, Keith Hernandez, Tom Herr, Matt Morris, Edgar Renteria, Lee Smith, John Tudor.
So I'm guessing you did not. I mean, first of all, the single best player on this list is Steve Carlton. I think we can agree with that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Do you, for 1 second, think of Steve Carlton as a Cardinal?
Not at all.
No. I mean, he started his career with the Cardinals, but he's a Philly through and through.
Yeah, 1,000%.
So Carlton getting in the Cardinals Hall of Fame just seems a little weird to me. He was 77 and 62 with a 3.10 ERA and 190 starts for the Cardinals before he left them in 1971. So, he was there 65 to 71. But I just, even though he's the best player on this list, I can't see him being voted in over the other ones. I'm guessing the one you voted for was Lee Smith. Is that correct?
No.
So you voted for Hernandez?
Yes, I did. And I'll tell you this, because I have a VPN here, I voted for him twice.
Wow. One's for him and one's for the mustache?
No, well, one's for him and one's for the MVP, or one's for the mustache, one's for the MVP.
One's for the MVP, one's for his work in the Just for Men commercials.
That's why my third vote was for Walt Frazier.
Yes. Anyway, I think, if I haven't voted yet, but those are the 2 who stand out to me. Renteria was there. I guess he was there for 6 seasons, made 3 All-Star teams, and won 2 Gold Gloves. But I still think of Renteria, rightly or wrongly, I think of Renteria mostly, and he played for the Red Sox. I still think of him mostly for his work with the Marlins, which is weird because it's weird to think that most of their work would happen with the Marlins. They seem to trade anyone who gets good.
Especially when they get good.
John Tudor's an interesting one because I do think of Tudor as a Cardinal first, and he was there for a while. No, I guess he wasn't there for that long. He was there 85 to 88 and 1990.
We remember the World Series of '85 because that's how I think of him too.
Yeah. So he won 21 games for that team in '85. Went 20-1 after June. That's kind of amazing with a 1.93 ERA and 10 complete game shutouts. That's a pretty impressive year. But I think his resume pales in comparison to both Hernandez and Smith. Those are the 2 I'm going to probably vote for.
Yeah, and I've voted for Hernandez each year, and it's sort of funny. Like, Hernandez, to many people, is a Met. Statistically, if you look at that, he was a better Cardinal. But people don't think of him that way.
Right, but he was so it seems when New York teams break long droughts, the guys in those teams get more remembered. Many more people remember Messier as a Ranger than they do as an Oiler, I'm sure, at this point.
There are, which I still remember Messier sort of like hoisting the cup, or did he hoist the cup on the Letterman show?
Yeah. Did he hoist? Oh, that on the Letterman show, no. I just remember if all the hoists of the cup in the history of the hoist of the cup, that's the one that gets shown first. If you're going to do a countdown of the first person to hoist the cup ever, but which would it be? That's pretty much at least ESPN's version of number one. So,
of course, my Mark Messier thing is a little bit different. Apologies to those listening if I've already covered this before, but have you ever seen the one with Mark Messier, the picture of Mark Messier with Gary Coleman?
No.
Okay, great. New territory. So when I moved from Ontario to Jasper, Alberta, so I find this one bar. It's this awesome bar, the Brew Pub. Anyone ever goes there, goes to Jasper, Alberta, go to the Brew Pub. And there was a painting, and it's Mark Messier in just wearing a towel, a very short towel, a la sort of like NBA.
I see it right now, actually.
Okay, so you're Googling that.
My goodness, I just Googled it. That picture is...
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so... but the first time, I never saw the picture first. Somebody painted that, and it's in sort of like the center part of this pub. So,
okay.
Yeah, so there's a painting of that picture for that, like in this pub in Jasper, Alberta. It's like, what the hell am I looking at? I can't turn away. It's disgusting. Oh my God, it's awesome. But it's disgusting. But it's awesome.
Yeah, you got a smiling Gary Coleman with an autograph book and it looks like a school jacket almost. And then Messier sitting with a beer in his hand with wearing nothing but a towel and a jockstrap hung on the wall behind him.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
And not a very big towel either.
No, it is Kevin McHale 1985 level shorts size.
Right. And that to me will always be Mark Messier. Just for that painting alone.
Interesting.
Yeah,
there's actually another picture here from apparently the same day where Gary Coleman got a picture with, in the signature from Wayne Gretzky as well. But Wayne's a little more subdued.
Well, there's no Ian team, and there might be an Ian Coleman. No, there's no Ian Coleman. No, but is there an A? No A in gold. There's an A. It's like the second letter of Gary.
Yeah, Messier's wearing a blue robe that's somewhere between like a terry cloth robe you'd get at a hotel and a smoking jacket. In his picture.
And that is why Mark Messier is awesome. And there is a street in Edmonton called Mark Messier Boulevard.
You know what? I just found a picture of your painting.
Oh, okay. At the Brew Pub, right?
Tourism Jasper on Twitter.
Yes.
One of Jasper's special little quirks.
Yep.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they cut out the jockstrap. That's a little upsetting.
Yeah.
But, I can imagine being like, what the hell is going on here?
Just in case that you think I make up this shit, I do not. I've had uncles visit me there, and I brought them to that pub to see that picture. Or that painting.
Wow.
Also that, and I could get them to buy me a big schooner of beer. Oh, do you even know what a schooner is?
Yeah, what's a schooner's a sailboat.
Okay.
I've seen Mallrats. I know how that goes.
All right. Yeah. Well, in Western Canada, a schooner is sort of like think of a pint on steroids.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can order like a schooner. It's like 20 ounces or something like that.
Is it like the boot from Beer Fest?
Much bigger than the boot.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. When we finally meet, and again, we've never met, it's either going to be in Chicago or it's got to be somewhere in Canada. I don't think that you coming here in Barbados will do it justice for what we really have to do culturally.
Understood.
Having said that, come to Barbados. Come to Barbados, stay for the fish.
and the one local beer.
Oh, no. Yeah, there's more than that. Yeah, that's true. There's there's a few local beers here.
Okay, you just always seem to have the same one, so.
That's true, because I can only afford so much. There's Corona here. I'm afraid to buy it, though.
Be adventurous, my friend. I'm sure the medical facilities, in case something goes wrong, are top notch.
Yeah, actually, have you seen Corona beer is actually down 12% of overall sales?
Well, they shouldn't have started a virus.
No, they shouldn't have. All right, so any final thoughts for the Hall of Fame show for this week?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think that's good for this week. I will say I'm almost done. So just going quickly back to the pro football thing. I am almost done with a massive article for you.
Oh,
about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I went back to 1999. And went through what would have happened if they didn't reject people who made it to the finalists for the up and down vote.
You've been talking about this for a while. I look forward to seeing it.
I have. So I have almost all the work done. I'm through 2010. I've written from 99 to 2010. So I just got to get from 2010 to 2020. But yeah, going through it, there were 2 rejected in 99. Basically, and it ends up being, but if you go through and just get everybody in, we have 18 additional Hall of Famers out of this, including looking at your new top 100 list, including quite a few in that top 10. Pretty much everyone in the top 10 who's waiting on the outside, well, except for Wayne and Holt, who are new. Mm-hmm. Pretty much all of them are get in and through this way. So, it's just It's just a thought process or a thought experiment, just to see exactly what would happen and why we have a backup and why Randy Gradishar and Ken Anderson and all those guys didn't get in. And the answer is because when other guys got to the finalist list, Lynn Swan was in the final group multiple times and was rejected twice, and then eventually got in. Michael Irvin was there and got rejected, eventually got in. Bob Kuchenberg was there, got rejected, and has still not gotten in. He passed away. Just for the up or down vote, which they haven't rejected anybody since for the last decade at this point, which is great. But just what would have happened had they gone through there? Because then you have people like Ray Guy probably gets in, so he's not a seniors candidate. So if he's not a seniors candidate, who becomes a seniors candidate? It's just an interesting thought process all the way through. So I'm almost done with that. I hope to have it done in the next week. And go back through, but it's literally like 30-something pages. So we may need to break it into parts.
However you want to do it, it's all good, man.
Yeah, I think what I may do is just send you the first part and go from there. But it's been an interesting thought experiment, and going through and seeing that we'd have a second Bengal in, at least when Ken Anderson gets in. Is nice because, like I say, every team thinks the Hall hates them, and the only team that's right is the Bengals. So,
and next week we will not talk about Shonda Rhimes and Gary Coleman.
Well, I don't make any guarantees you can't keep, my friend.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, I mean, Gary Coleman is a character in the 2009's Tony Award-winning Best New Musical Avenue Q. So you never know what might come up.
That is true, and I did see that in Massey Hall in Toronto.
I saw that in Washington, D.C. with the original cast traveling through. So, But anyway. So look forward to the article. I'm going to get that stuff to you fairly quickly. I just want to finish it first before I start parceling it out. But that should be coming to you shortly.
All right, so. Sounds good. All right, Evan, as always, it's a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you next week.
Bye. All right, cool. Take care, man. Bye.
Right, bye.